You're listening to The Monetized Mom, the podcast that teaches moms of faith how to monetize their expertise online to create influence, impact, income, and more importantly, financial independence. I'm your host, Flo Alexander. Let's chat. Hey mama, if you're listening to this, I know one thing about you. You want to be able to exit your corporate career so that you can spend more time with your spouse and kids, have the freedom to travel and live life on your own terms, all while creating real transformation and impact in the lives of others with your expertise. Well, you're in luck. I just released a new case study on the method moms are using to build a profitable online business, make a full-time income from home, and quit their 9-to-5. You can access it now at themonetizedmom.com/study. That's themonetizedmom.com/study. Again, themonetizedmom.com/study. Let's get on with the show. If you are burnt out in your business and doing all the things, it may just be time to outsource. And I know what you're thinking. I can't afford to. Here's the thing. You cannot afford not to. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking with the GOAT, Kelley Wasson, about hiring, when to hire, how to hire in your business. Hey, Kelley, how are you?
How are you?
I'm doing amazingly well. Now, listen, let's be real with the people. This has at least been like a year in the making. At least a year in the making. I've been trying to get you on the podcast / interviewing. So first of all, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I'm super excited.
Thank you so much for having me, friend. You know, if anybody can get my introverted self out in these online streets going live, that it's you. So thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. So y'all, like I said, we're going to be talking all about when and how to hire in your business. Now, I have to say, I met Kelley probably like 4 or 5 years ago here on Instagram, or should I say old Instagram, right? No cap Instagram. And so I've known Kelley for quite some time before I even had kids, and she has saved me in business so many times. In fact, when people ask, how do I do it all? I literally say I don't, and also Kelley. Because that's the reality of the situation here. So she is the GOAT when it comes to operations. And so she is literally, y'all, it's a privilege that she's here, and she's going to share some gems with us on how you can outsource, when to outsource, and all those things that you need to be able to grow and scale your business as a mom, coach, expert, consultant, and all those great things.
I am an operations consultant. So what that means in like layman's terms is that I help business owners and online founders and visionaries execute their vision, systematize their back end, and build their team.
So listen, like I said, the GOAT. And the truth of the matter is Kelley is being very modest, because the fact is she has worked with some of the biggest names in the online space when it comes to coaches, consultants, service providers. Like, she has worked with the biggest names. So we're not going to name names here, but just know that you are in the presence of greatness. All right. So let's hop into some of these questions that I have for Kelley. So first and foremost, when should we hire? Because I know the big thing is people are going to be like, well, I can't afford to hire. I'm not making enough in my business. And I started this live stream by saying, I know that people are going to say that. I've been there. And let me tell you, hiring is probably going to be the thing that actually opens up your ability to make more money in your business. But from your perspective and experience, when should people be actually looking at outsourcing?
I recommend that when you get to the point of overflow in your business. So you know when your cup is full, and not the good overflow, not the godly overflow, but when you absolutely have no more capacity to take on extra clients or do anything else because you're so busy servicing one, and your quality of work could be declining. You could be, running around spending all of your time trying to manage the client that you have, and then you look in your inbox and you have 500 other tasks and inquiries. This is absolutely the time to hire, because you are essentially a bottleneck in your business.
So I feel like the point is usually before people think they should hire. And I feel like that was with me, even like recently when we started working together again, I was just like, I need to delegate this stuff, but I think I could probably still do it. And you were like, girl,
You don't get that stuff off your plate.
Get your life. Because no, you don't need to be doing it all. So when they feel like they are overwhelmed, or even before that point, I would say, because I remember when I first outsourced, I had like a VA helping me. It was like I didn't have enough emails to even justify having somebody managing my inbox, but just having some of those tasks taken off my plate really opened up my capacity to be able to actually do the things that matter. And I know people like to say work in your zone of genius, but it really allows you to work in that zone of genius, which is what helps you build a business at the end of the day. All right. So now that we realize, hey, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do all this by myself. What do we need to do to actually prepare to like outsource this stuff? Because I mean, saying it is one thing, but actually being in a space where you can hand something over to somebody,
I think it's completely mostly about like outlining the goals. There are some solopreneurs and business owners who literally want to replace their current 9-to-5, not have a boss, and do maybe service that one client. They don't want to grow. They don't have the intention to grow or run $100 million business or even a $10 million business. They just want to not have a boss over their head. And so, and if that's your goal, then that's your goal. But oftentimes I talk to solopreneurs who do want to grow. And so identifying the goal of their business off the bat is going to help you in attracting a team member that you want to work with potentially. And then I would say also getting really clear about this could be an extensive timeline. So this could take up to 90 days. I think people think it's a magic pill. Like, oh, I want to hire somebody. Where's my person? Got to find my person. If it takes longer than 2 weeks to find their person, then they start becoming discouraged. And so also just understand the timeline and then identify what those problems are and the gaps that you're experiencing in your business are. So at a fundamental level, operations is identifying, gaps in lead generation. So generating the client, like talking, understanding who your client is and making sure that you're having conversations with them, converting the client into a customer, and then service delivery. So where, with those three buckets, where are you experiencing the gap and where can you potentially bring someone in to support you in the growth of your business?
So I think it's super important that you brought up the fact that this is not like a quick fix. Like it's not a magic pill. Yeah. So I think people underestimate like actually having someone come into your business and take those things that have been in your head and actually giving it to them to actually free up your capacity to do stuff. I think people underestimate that process, and the onboarding process in and of itself is a process. Like literally just think about if you were working in corporate, like the time that it will take you to onboard into a new position. So having knowing what those goals are and knowing what those gaps are, so you actually know how those people can support you is super important. So to that point though, I always say this when people ask about coaching. Like I was on a live stream this past Sunday and she asked about like when should people do coaching or something like to that effect. And I was like, I feel like, in my opinion, people can disagree. When it comes to coaching, like I feel like you have to know what it is that you need coaching for. I think a lot of times there's this blanket idea of like, let me go get a coach, and you don't know what the overall objective of getting that coach is. So then you might be disappointed because you don't get the results that you need. So in the same token, when you're actually trying to outsource or hire someone into your business to help you, you actually have to know what the objective is of them helping you so that it can actually be successful. Otherwise, you're just going to feel like, oh, I just hired someone and they didn't help, but they didn't actually have the direction or the objective of what they needed to do to actually help you. So I think that's super important. So I'm going to throw something. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, absolutely.
Well, I was going to throw this out there. Do you feel like maybe this is after they hire or outsource? Do like people need to have SOPs in place before they actually outsource? Or is that something that you're like, let me hire somebody?
I think there's just different levels of business. So some people are, SOPs are their strength. They understand that they need them. They understand they have them at some level, even if it's a week kind of system or a process, they have something documented. I would totally recommend documenting your systems and processes before onboarding, because then it would set that person up for success. So someone joins the business and you're like, I need help with social media. Okay. What kind of help with social media? Like, do you need me to engage and nurture your leads in the inbox? Do you need me to post for you? You know, like what kind of support do you need? And oftentimes that comes with documenting and outlining that process. So absolutely, I think that having SOPs is a strength. But if you really know, like at the core of who you are not good at outlining any kind of system or process, then I totally think that you would hire an operations professional to come and help you to create those SOPs so that you can have them in place for your business. And I don't think that those are mutually exclusive. I think that you could totally do those at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested in the loom.
Yes. I love that too, because at least you can show me what you're doing. And if that process is taking 60 steps and I, from an operations perspective, can see how we can eliminate 50 of those steps, at least I can see what you're doing and how you've created whatever process that you've created.
Do you know, I actually loathe the idea of creating SOPs in my business just because tell you, just because that's what I did in my career. Like my whole career was process improvement and documenting and getting the data and figuring out what I was just like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Let me hire somebody to do it. I will create a Loom video for you to show what I've been doing. But by all means, you can create a document because I'm tired of doing that. So anyway, so if you have SOPs, that will help. If not, you can always hire somebody to help you with that. Okay, so let's talk about the real question. We know we need somebody. We're preparing to outsource or hire somebody. How do we find like real good help? Because listen, Fiverr is not cutting it. It's not cutting it these days. So how can we find people like you, Kelley, that can really...
So again, going back to those goals, I'm only going to work with a business owner that has like tangible, measurable goals in their business, and that is making consistent money. I am not attracted to a business that is like when you have the first, discovery conversation with them and you're like, so what are the goals for the business? Make more money, do more things. Like, no, like we need to see that you as the business owner are taking this incredibly seriously and you have a plan for how you think that we can get from point A to point B. So I think that that's number one. And then also understanding that a good ops professional knows their worth. They know that they can bring some ROI to your business and you should be prepared to invest at some level. So I would definitely say come with your A game, but if you're looking to hire just a VA or, some type of fractional support in your business, I would avoid Fiverr. I mean, Fiverr has a place. It definitely has a place, but LinkedIn.
Oh,
LinkedIn has been amazing just to see talent on display. Those are people who are serious about, what they can do, their experience. You can see that on display. They're having like real-time conversations. It's less showy. So it's not about, look at my cute selfies, but it's more about like, look at the ideas that I have in my head that I want to share and I want to connect with different professionals. So LinkedIn, even if someone doesn't have, looking to work on their LinkedIn profile, if you start conversations up on LinkedIn, you definitely can find some really, really solid help for your business.
Listen, I would have never thought about that. So thank you. Obviously, I told y'all gems will be dropped. So listen, I've tried the whole Fiverr route. I've tried the referral route. And at the end of the day, all roads led back to Kelley.
And you can even post job postings on LinkedIn. So like if LinkedIn will help you hire and you can post jobs. It's just like, a monster.com or Indeed, where you can post a job post and you can post those on LinkedIn too. And I would say use all those, different job portals to find, and then also Upwork. There's freelancers on Upwork looking for jobs and clients every single day. And so you just need to know that, I would say set a goal for the amount of applicants that you want. So we're going for at least 50. I would say at first. Yeah. And so collect 50 applications, review them all at the same time and, compare and contrast like what you're looking for, get them on an initial conversation just to make sure that it's a culture fit. If it is a culture fit, I would suggest, having them fill out a true, official application that is sharing their goals and what they're looking to do, what they can accomplish for you, and then have them do a test project. So we're not going to hire without demonstrated skills and that being, set up one-to-one with what you're looking for. So if you're looking for someone who can write your emails for you and you've never seen them write a successful email, do not hire that individual. And same with, marketing or finance, any of those things, you definitely want them to see their chops, see what they can do, and let them put them on display before bringing them onto your business.
So basically what Kelley is telling y'all is you need to run a business. Basically, you need to run a business. And to your point, though, like I like how you broke that down, like put the number of applications that you're looking to get, how you vet them, the test project, because I had that experience where I was actually trying to find someone to take over email marketing for me. And I had her do a test project. I wasted money, but I'm glad that I didn't hire her like based off of what was on the profile, what she said she was capable of doing. Because not only was she not a culture fit, but it just
absolutely
the skills weren't there. So to your point, I think that's the best approach when you are looking for support. The most important thing for me is making sure you're a culture fit, and then also just being able to understand me and being able to work with me, to the point where I told y'all I met Kelley. We've known each other 4 or 5 years at this point. So you understand me and the way that I think sometimes. So anyway, I think that's
sorry. I also think that we catch you through a personality assessment. So DISC and Enneagram and some of these personality assessments, we don't you and I know that we could work together because we spent 4 to 5 years building a relationship. A lot of times you don't have that type of runway. You kind of want to get an idea for how someone approaches work or approaches conflict or, approaches taking a big goal and making it small. And you can do that through some of these personality assessments.
Wow. This is for real. Y'all got to run your business like a business. Stop treating this like a hobby. This is a business where you got to have goals.
Absolutely.
You got to have a strategy, and you have to actually have a plan for hiring support. Okay. So let's talk about it. So you just said that if we really actually want to get good help, right, we need to be working with someone who understands their worth as maybe even if it's a virtual assistant or an operations manager, which I don't know if anyone is at the point where they necessarily need an operations manager. But what should we budget for realistically? Because I told them in the beginning that they can't afford not to hire somebody. As a mom, as a business owner, and some of these people are working, what should they have in mind for how
I get asked this question all the time, and I think it's relative to how much revenue that you're generating. A business means that you are making some level, you're generating some kind of income and revenue. So I definitely think that, the myth about you need $100,000 before you're ready to hire or bring on support is absolutely false. But I do think that it's relative. And so I like to use a grid which is based on percentages. So, and based on your business model, if you're running a done for you offer or a service to where you are doing something for a client, turning that around, typically your labor is high. So you need, more support. And that means you should invest about 45% of your revenue back into the business as far as a team goes. If you are a consultant, there's different levels of consultants, but you typically have a medium level of support needed for labor. And then I think you should invest about 35% of your revenue back into your team or into hiring. Done with you offer 30%. And if you have a course or self-study course where you're just, it doesn't take a lot of labor team, then I definitely think you should invest 20% of your revenue back into hiring. So I know that that's not quick and dirty facts and figures, but it definitely gives you an idea for how much, based on how much revenue you're bringing in, how much you should leverage that to grow and build your team. So even if you're making $1, some percentage of that should go back into automating. And I also don't think that it's always a team member that you need. Sometimes you just need to automate your business in a way that you're still not doing every single thing manually. but you're still investing in a tool to support you, to help you deliver.
I cannot, like, when I tell you, I agree with that 100%. Before I even like hired or like outsourced, that was my thing. Like automations. Let's put these emails on autopilot. Let's have templates to respond to emails. Let's have like, because that's my jam. Like I love doing, I love doing tinkering around. So that's the one thing. So if y'all are like, whoa, 30%, and I'm just only making, X amount of dollars, like think about ways that you can integrate software and systems into your business that can alleviate some of that work as you scale and work to then outsource or hire someone. All right. So how do you know? So I think we may have already addressed this, like how to know when to hire a team member. Well, actually, no, we haven't talked about this. So how do you know when it's outsourced versus actually
ask this question all the time. I love this question because people tend to be surprised by the answer. So as the business owner, you don't just miraculously decide whether or not to hire a contractor, a 1099, or a W-2 employee. That is not your ability to say, oh, I want someone a little more fractional. I don't want, a true employee. The needs of your business determine whether or not you need a W-2 or a 1099 contractor in your business. So, and it's the tax implications. Number one, do you want to be able to tell this person what time to work, what to work on, when to work, and how to work? If yes, then that's 100% a W-2 true employee. If a contractor, legally, you cannot tell a contractor when to work, what time to clock in, what to work on, and how you want to get, like how to do it. So a contractor, you're losing a little bit of control and you're not covering their taxes. Whereas a W-2 employee, you are paying taxes on their behalf.
Do you think you can actually build, because I know the people that you work with, right? And they've built 7-figure businesses, right? Do you feel like you can build a 7-figure business?
I do.
Solely
no, I definitely do. And I think it's not, it doesn't matter whether or not you have a team of contractors. It's really based on how you price your offer and your overhead. So like your profit has nothing to do with how much or how little team members or W-2 employees you have on your team.
Price your offer, guys. I'm teaching how to create a 4-figure offer. I'm just going to throw that out there. All right. All right. So let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes you've seen. Like I said, you work with some of the biggest names, right? We're not going to name no names, but yes, her. What her and her. Like, what are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen as it pertains to like growing a business with support, and just from I'm always asking your perspective and your experiences.
Well, the number one mistake, every business that I've supported, I've come in and no one knows their numbers. So like I'll ask, how much profit have you made? How much revenue? How many leads do you need to be able to, like people don't know their numbers and they're literally running their business flying by the seat of their pants. And so that is the number one mistake. And that's the first thing that I work on to identify. Number one, how can we know our numbers and pull those quickly? Every single day, I should be able to look in one place and see exactly how many leads we captured overnight or during the previous day, how much revenue we generated, how much profit are we putting aside to make sure that we are just doing business for business sake. Like we need the numbers, and the numbers literally is the temperature check for where we're going as a business. If we're being successful, if we've made a fail, what tweaks we need to make. And so I think that's the number one mistake that I see every single day.
I feel so excited because you said that. And you know what we do every day? We pull numbers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then also just, there's no documented processes because there's a lot of solopreneurs or visionaries, entrepreneurs, and I'm not hating on you. I think that you're the most amazing group of humans ever. I think that you run the world. But I think that there's this mentality, like this short-term visionary, quick, gotta move, gotta go. And so they don't do the things that will set them up for long-term success because they're so focused on the next dollar right here, right now. So that those long-term success activities are documenting processes. So from my perspective, most business owners run by the seat of their pants, but what we should be doing is making sure that we're going back and like looking at success metrics. So success leaves clues. How did we get this client? What exact things did we do step by step, outline them out and document them so that we can recreate that as a pattern over and over and over again? And how can we get more efficient? How can we close that lead time? So if it took me 6 months to gain this client and I had to warm up the relationship, I had to take them out to dinner 5 times, like my perspective would be to come in and see how can we close that lead time? What else can we be doing to make sure that we can close these deals more consistently and more quickly? Go ahead.
Let me tell y'all. Sorry, I was about to say, Kelley, listen, these are gems, and you guys, y'all are lucky to have Kelley talking to you about this stuff that no one talks about. This is true business strategy and building a business. And my thing is, I too often get caught up in the numbers because that's my whole analytical engineering brain, like X and Y, it should be Z. And so anyway, but to your point, knowing your numbers and understanding how to kind of reverse engineer and replicate your successes in business. But sorry, go ahead. You were just dropping so many gems. I had to
another mistake that I see is that people wait too late to hire. So they wait until they're in a place of absolute desperation. They do have the email inbox with the 500 people sitting in there. I want my photos taken too. Like they're waiting literally with their wallets open, waiting to give you money. And you waited too late to duplicate specific sales generating roles in your business. So now you're hiring from a place of desperation. And typically that is when you make the mishires and you make these missteps. And so that causes you to lose time. And then the last mistake that I'd like to highlight is that a lot of solopreneurs, which I love you so much, you don't believe that you can replicate yourself or your role in your business. So you think, oh, I'm the only one who could, consult in the way that I do. No one ever could come in and do it. And that is just absolutely not true. And the moment that we realize that, that's when you step in from like actually operating the business to becoming a true CEO and an owner of your business. It's not all based on you and what you are able to do. And I know it makes our ego feel really good to think that, but there are times and other systems and ways that we can come in and allow other people to help us to run the business.
Listen, I'll be trying to take it, please. Take my brain and my thought and write copy for me because I don't want I'm good for giving up something. All right. So y'all drop some questions below. We're going to wrap up pretty soon. I don't want to take too much of Kelley's time because she's out here being amazing, supporting these businesses. So let's talk about tips for people to get organized with their systems so that they can actually get the numbers that they need and actually be looking at the information and data KPIs that they need to be looking to actually.
Systems has become such a buzzword, and I think that it'd be helpful to define it so that the people who are listening, their eyes start crossing and they hear systems. Like, what are we talking about? So I did whip up a quick definition for how I approach systems. And so I would say that it's a process or procedure, a method or a course of action designed to create and achieve specific results. So it's an interrelated steps that work together for the good of the whole. And it's how we create those consistent and measurable results in our business. This is why we are in business. And so I want business owners to know that most of you already have systems in place. They're either just massively, wildly ineffective or they're not documented. So you have a way that you're making money in your business. And so the number one way to get organized around those systems is to write them down. So like, even if you think about like systems in your household, so like, how do you brush your teeth, your morning routine? What do you do in the morning to get ready for work? Or how do you get your kids ready for school? Like those are systems and they're probably inefficient. So like, sometimes it's like, oh, I have to chase Bria around the house for 5 minutes before she gets dressed.
This is very true.
But it's
very, very
true,
just
actually. Writing them down and making sure that we're carving out the space become more efficient with the systems and like putting them in the order for how we can do them time and time again. And then I would just suggest that solopreneurs spend time on the, in the extra effort setting themselves up for success. So I talked about this microwave mentality previously of just like how we're focused on the dollar here, dollar there right now, instead of really setting our business up and ourselves up for success to create long-term results in our business.
Mm-hmm. All right. Y'all, I have one more question. So drop your questions in the comments. Best tools to use as a solopreneur. So we talk about automating and that helping to free up your time and capacity to do stuff. So I have my preferences. But what are some tools that you would recommend from your perspective?
Yeah, I'm pretty much tool agnostic. I can use a tool, like as long as it's a project management tool that works and keeps me organized, I can totally use it. But there's a few that I cannot run a business without. And one of them is Zapier. So Zapier is a godsend. And if it ever left, I don't know. But Zapier helps us to connect different tools so they can talk together. So if you're using like Google Workspace and you want that to talk to Instagram or even Slack or Zoom, it can do that. And so it helps us to create those automations so we can get faster at running our business. And then I would say choose a project management software. So my tool of choice is ClickUp. I really, really love how ClickUp automates, helps me stay organized and kind of it's like a duplication of my brain. And it helps me to stay organized every single day so I can know like what my priorities are. And then Google Workspace. I cannot run a business without the Google tools. So like Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Worksheets.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. I don't understand how people use Dropbox, but that's neither here nor there. It's my preference. But anyway, y'all, if y'all have some questions, drop them in the comments. Kelley, tell the people how they can connect with you, because you just dropped some major gems, and y'all show Kelley some love. Drop some hearts in the comments. Like I said, Kelley don't come out for nobody. So let's be glad and show some love that she came today to share her wealth of knowledge that I'm always picking on every single day. So how can people connect with you if they're looking to hire, outsource, whatever it is? They need your help.
They can go to kelleywasson.co to where you can schedule a 15-minute coffee chat. And from there, I would recommend, I'm not taking large scale projects because I am supporting a 7-figure business owner right now, but I have 2 VIP day offers where we can either strategically plan your business, set your systems up, scale your back end, or we can work on hiring your team member and making sure that they are set up for success once they join your team. So kelleywasson.co.
All right, y'all. Make sure you follow her as well on Instagram. Kelley may or may not make some appearances in your timeline. So make sure you follow her and visit her at kelleywasson.co.
Thank you so much, Bo, for having me. I think that you are brilliant. And I really, really love working so closely with you. And I just want to encourage the business owners out here that you have the tools that it takes. Like, don't be, completely thrown off by hiring or bringing people on your team. You just need to create a cool environment and document some processes, and someone would absolutely love to help you to reach the next goal in your business.
As always, I hope that you found this episode helpful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And with that, I'll talk to you in the next episode.